Treat 'em right. Treat 'em right. Treat 'em right. Treat 'em right.
Moors are here to uplift the nation that's fallen. Instead of buying strip clubs, continuing or falling. Most sisters I know got baby daddy drama. Beating on the mother and he's the grand master. No patriarch or pimpin', you're the god of the earth. He calls it a man bag, I call it what it is, a purse. Making claims of strength but can't give birth. Walk into the womb through the doors of the church or temple or tabernacle. They all represent her. The story of the first female popes is a blur, not to mention the women saviors rule from both thrones. His and her throne was her own. As my aunt holds the scales with no Tahuti. Though he was a sage scribe, he was her worker bee. See the big picture. Tahuti is thought, which represents thought. Divine manifest in mind, molds the thought. Get the mind out the gutter like you gotta treat the mothers right. Get your mind out the gutter like you gotta treat our brothers right. Get your mind out the gutter like you gotta treat the mothers right. Get your mind out the gutter like you gotta treat our brothers right. Mind is mad, but women first like we were taught in ancient schools, which were the wombs, even to the tomb, the afterlife womb. Born again on another realm or back for more truth about our culture as Moors, more by roof. See how far they spread, how deep the roots true. Get off the emotions, fire water potions. Get the shea butter, my sister, not Jergens lotions. Stop justifying BS, blaming racism. Biz Kane and G-Rap already erased racism. Go back to Diplo Underground, Tupac, or X-Clan and Fezzes leather that you call it a hat. Go back to medallion strings with beads. Golden era, back to question so-called MCs. Pimps and smooth operators, Asiatic kings. On a gold throne, four-finger formally rings. Get your mind out the gutter like you gotta treat the mothers right. Get your mind out the gutter like you gotta treat our brothers right. Get your mind out the gutter like you gotta treat the mothers right. Get your mind out the gutter like you gotta treat our brothers right. Using verse curses, send out orishas, return like boomerangs, demons dropping with seizures, calling for sweet Jesus. Here comes Nagas Ligas, black candle hex on those trying to police us. Reverse a spell with white candles, witches clothed as cashiers, behind bars, sexual energy exchange for beers. And she's getting tips with help from whispering spirits. 285 hertz beats, hypnotized sound spell with lyrics. So freaked out their mind, can't hear but fear it. When the truth appears, they won't go near it. Songs are like Reiki, blockages they clear it. So focus on point and diligent, freedom above everything, mind's militant. Like wow, moment eureka when I speak to a sleeper. Make a master fruition and stop being believers. Get the mind out the gutter like you gotta treat the mothers right. Get your mind out the gutter like you gotta treat our brothers right. Get your mind out the gutter like you gotta treat the mothers right. Get your mind out the gutter like you gotta treat our brothers right.
Treat 'em right. No good life. Treat 'em right.
Circle 7, y'all.
Treat 'em right. Treat 'em right. Treat 'em right.
Some of these things the young cats doing, or artists of these days are doing, you know what I mean, has nothing to do with the roots or where this thing started from. You know what I mean? It's like they go completely left field. You know what I'm saying? And mumble rap is one of the things that some cats are doing. That's completely left field. Because it's like, how do you mumble rap? You know what I'm saying? Part of rapping is being lyrical.
Man, come on. You still wear hoodies for Trayvon. Death was sacrificial as dad the nation. Not sure if you knew Satan or been in the coffin, but I know Muslim sons booby trap prints are often pulling carpets from under feet while they morphin'. Act like L. Jackson, Cosby, and Jordan with dirty Moors. These new Moors don't take enough caution, playing unity with them and end up on blocks for auction. We told you about conquistador clamps with King Alfred plans to clamp you in camps, facing vaporization. No ovens. Every day of Aquarian years, know thyself coming. You're strapped to a mental bed with probe in your head, wishing you would have listened to what the Moor said. Read Ministry of Death surrounded by mourners. The cool breezes knowing rights when streets are saunas. Ha!
So how do you even achieve that if you're mumbling the words intentionally? You know what I'm saying? Or you adopt that as a style of mumbling your words. And at the same time, it just shows you how much of the mass public has been dumbed down.
Crystals make souls mischievous. That's when you're lost, trolling black Romans approaching in a wooden horse. No mirror, steel life block button for you guys. Using prophets' lessons I'm seeing through true eyes. Many truths are being revealed to combat true lies. The line in the sand is clear as blue skies. Watch for Jedi mind tricks, divisive weapons. Knowledge is water. Keep that away from gremlins and it's symbolic. Pay attention when you see sevens and recognize the significance of seeing 11. Take the good with the bad when the world gives you not. Felt the shroom with nauseous gut rot, flow so infinite, finite, comprehend it not. Shooting from the mouth using freedom of thought. Black lives only matter for mug and flu shots. Rap got them like zombies, malfunctioning new bots.
You're able to be entertained by things you shouldn't be able to be entertained by. You know what I mean? And that's, hey, I mean, a person impressed by any piece of art or anything is they're gonna be entertained going into the peak of their intelligence.
They rhyme making no sense to make dollars and holler. On our grounds, rounds leave Moors dead in parlors. So-called blacks call them cracker, then get called Canadian and shun Moors that say they're not Canadian. This world is full of crazy men with no knowledge of self, but got the most expensive cars and flat screens on the wall shelf. Going all the way to try to help you change what you won't. And I hardly hear your opinion of Marcus Garvey, but Steve Harvey stands out, true, cool, and jester, making a fool of you and himself for wealth. To me, those sellouts need to get bodied or exiled to Dr. Moreau's island with Gentiles and reptiles. Fake slave ships stacking bodies in piles, giving fake Jews slave respect, not giving me smiles, calling children kids, chasing after Taji guys, supremacy, use albino and half-breed spies. We catch trespassers with razors and mesh, pedophile torture, scotch bonnet and open flesh. Traitors get the shitty end of the stick. Our leaders murderers should have been crushed with pyramid bricks. Huey Newton and Hampton killers should be in front of a squad shooting by any means necessary. Get out the beast belly. Why y'all get mad glory and your flow's mad corny? Your skin tight jeans put you into F category. Most rappers' names on lists for rhyme pad or lorry, making me comments mad derogatory. Why y'all get mad glory and your flow's mad corny? Your skin tight jeans put you in F category. Most rappers' names on lists for rhyme pad or lorry, making me comments mad derogatory. It's all about balance, my art the beam. Sellouts made it mainstream. Underground is almost unseen. Gay A&R signed the rappers' contracts in blood. Took his soul, body didn't fall with a thud. He's a zombie, dyed hair, dress wearing thug. Burn that garbage, too much to sweep under the rug. Police can't collar a crime without snitches. You're lucky to escape their custody, not dead with just stitches. Make you hate your hair, take Hindus to Ganesha possess ya, and raising your blood pressure. Anything to do with Moors, they don't want you near. Don't search where it's black, you won't find it there. No matter how much you beg, they won't tell you where. No matter how much you don't have, they won't tell you here. Negroes weren't the first slaves, no reparations first. While you wait for your reparations, it looks like a hearse. They won't pay you reparations anyway, only if you agree to make yourself black and gay. Instead of towards Moors, they want you to stray. Won't find your mind when it's in disarray. Thinking being European is the only way, hurling insults at your creator. She will get you later. Why y'all get mad glory and your flow's mad corny. Your skin tight jeans put you into F category. Most rappers' names on lists for rhyme pad or lorry. Making me yell comments mad derogatory. Why y'all get mad glory and your flow's mad corny? Your skin tight jeans put you into F category. Most rappers' names on lists for rhyme pad or lorry. Making me yell comments mad derogatory. What's the reason for the treason is the question and the lesson. I hear most professing, but really possessing. Taking minds messing with thought patterns and pathways Nero. Wanna be a hero when they really cipher, not Neo, not Morpheus or Gillen finding Nemo. Selling out with no remorse, you and yours. Calling you black, showing you who's the boss. Always marching, but never thought sue the police force or do like Haitians. Add some voodoo, of course. You might hurt them unexpected. It could be bloody. Feel your cells curl and your hair stand from walking duppies. Looked, all of a sudden, judge yelled and wept. In court, judge with cold sweats and throat strap. You can't talk yet, cause the candle was lit before I left. Forget Africa. Hip hop was the grand theft. Why y'all get mad glory and your flow's mad corny? Your skin tight jeans put you into F category. Most rappers' names on lists for rhyme pad or lorry. Making me yell comments mad derogatory. Why y'all get mad glory and your flow's mad corny? Your skin tight jeans put you in F category. Most rappers' names on lists for rhyme pad or lorry. Making me yell comments mad derogatory.
In the silence, he understood that the desert, the wind, and the sun were also trying to understand the signs written by the hand, and were seeking to follow their paths and to understand what had been written on a single emerald.
So most of the lucid dream is that while you are dreaming about the life without any sleep, also in the sleep, that in the dream that you will see so many different people, you will travel into the night field, or you're also having a different kind of experience.
Moorish assassin, never boxed in with hashtagging or caught in the net for goat head kids. I'm calling the vet. RFID locators won't work against Oregon. Umbrella won't work when a career age pours on. Drenched in Moorish science, send a Risha tsunami monsoon. They play with your mental, don't get locked in their rooms. They're goons, bend your thoughts like spoons and mushrooms. Not the Matrix, the atheists, God, us the aliens. Step off the spaceship escalator with scroll swords and lasers. Blink now, standing in mazes beneath skyscrapers. Bodies covered with talk, transparent, it's apparent. The being under the talk can't have an earth parent. Looking like the predator, but the hair really was looking like locks. I'm shocked, seeing signs of the no more and when the spaceship docked.
That you may feel that I have done in the past time, or I've done, or I met this person in some time, but you never remember and you have no idea where you met.
In the silence, he understood that the desert, the wind, and the sun were also trying to understand the signs written by the hand, and were seeking to follow their paths and to understand what had been written on a single emerald.
So most of the lucid dream is that while you are dreaming about the life without any sleep, also in the sleep, that in the dream that you will see so many different people, you will travel into the night field, or you're also having a different kind of experience.
Moorish assassin, never boxed in with hashtagging or caught in the net for goat head kids. I'm calling the vet. RFID locators won't work against Oregon. Umbrella won't work when a career age pours on. Drenched in Moorish science, send a Risha tsunami monsoons. They play with your mental, don't get locked in their rooms. They're goons, bend your thoughts like spoons and mushrooms. Not the Matrix, the atheists, God, us the aliens. Step off the spaceship escalator with scroll swords and lasers. Blink now, standing in mazes beneath skyscrapers. Bodies covered with talk, transparent, it's apparent. The being under the talk can't have an earth parent. Looking like the predator, but the hair really was looking like locks. I'm shocked, seeing signs of the no more and when the spaceship docked.
That you may feel that I have done in the past time, or I've done, or I met this person in some time, but you never remember and you have no idea where you met those people and where you done these things. Those are the lucid dreams. And at the moment when you are feeling, you are totally traveling into your journey of the what is your feeling.
Worlds within worlds, none flat. I thought it was me, till I saw flat earth blasphemers hanging on a tree. Those that lied to Asiatics, making them black, were slaves and lived in shacks. Now that's some payback. Things were reversed. Mothers and daughters were clutching their purses when demons came around with sudden hand-like curses. Racial profiling was high tide. Heroes were marching in their own communities, committing arson, pulling Mars trucks to try a Reginald Denny. Second Amendment got him running, but he hit many, stomping on devil skulls at the top of his lungs, telling me, get in the truck. Don't you know there's no remedy? If you get bitten by one of them, young man, there's no telling what would happen when the zombie's blood mixed with melanin. Some say we'll go back how it used to be. Us no longer in a superior but a minority. Others say you'd rather be dead than have them in your mind. You go crazy when your thoughts and theirs combine. At the same time, zombie reached through the window. I punched it but woke up with my hand through a window.
Experience of the 5 elements into your body. Fire, air, earth, and all the air. Space. Those when they're turning into your body. Sometimes fire can be touched with your consciousness. Sometimes wind will be stronger with the consciousness. Sometimes earth will be stronger with the consciousness. Each element, when they are strong connecting with your consciousness, then you are feeling a different kind of dream.
Dream, all made from bees. Your brain shaped like a bee, had pine in the middle, enshrined. Had a dream over Jew Ali. Taste got released, a Moorish mainstream. Real sheets all made from sheets, so fine, only thoughts could cut. In short, me, I'm the spirit body etheric for you to hear it dually. The raw side got a picture, door side is the Leo. Break seal in the front, back side is the eagle / phoenix. Rise the helix as his powers looking like Moorish snaps. Climbing Yakub ladder, let me to my head. There's a crown called the feds, Drew brought it back. Don't be jealous of his fame and nobility, he wasn't joking. My belly stuffed cause his prophecies fulfilling me, deja vu. Yo, I've been here already in a soundproof booth called the room on the 6th day I departed. The flesh is my suit, and we all from thought. Came in head first with a dive. I could talk about travel, I ain't carry that drive. I'm all up, so it's national pride. I had a dream, I met Baphomet side of my bed. He said, most rest I forget, so real, felt the wind of his breath. It wore jewelry, had his hair parted like Dodge Ram, stole his imagery, I bet. Just now, not a long time ago. It really don't look like that, just signs and symbols. I self-law and master. 4 corners, 5 points, 1 star within you.
Most of the coming from not the coming. It is coming from your own wisdom. And what is the wisdom is mostly we talk about that. Your own consciousness.
And conscious means that you're conscious of what's going on in this world. You're fully aware and awake to what's going on in the world. That's what conscious rap means. So if you got conscious rap, that means you got unconscious rap. That means you got motherfuckers that's unconscious rapping. That means they sleeping. They still under the spell of Leviathan. They still under the spell of King.
Call me brother man, I'm not the rubber man. Though I keep my Nazis in affairs wrapped with some rubber bands. Burning out the Ku Klux Klan and with the Grand Dairy Queen misters. Just butts of guns I'm giving. Trying to make more sovereign citizens. These minions help kill your prophets, stole your treasury millions. You heard it from your brother man. Now the smothers sell out. Sex links and K2 Kush days keep me red out. I got the knowledge to make these silly hoes question the pimping directors of music videos. Gaylords and persons with strap-on boots with heels. Too much graphic art faces, boobs are not real. Since MCM and Troop, they use Timberland boots to get us all caught up in fashion, not the simple men roots. Got our people on dogmatic, not metaphysic. Exoteric, not esoteric is how you missed it. So out of it, you couldn't feel the natural mystic blowing through the air like it didn't give a shit. I hear the dirty Moors dissing, cause I said profanities. A lot of these grand sheets need to take off the panties. Pull the thong out your crack vest, wear him sash ass nigga. Return to where the prophet found you, Negro, what's that nigga?
It's time to choose a side. You're either positive or you negative. You're either evil or you good. You understand what I'm saying? Choose a side, nigga. I know what side I'm on.
I throw a Molotov at the priest that works for the beast. All they want is our people to rest in peace. No attention of allowing more stress to ease. Cracker won't go home to spread himself the disease. Genocidal epidemic kill us in high proportions. Instead of mummified, we stay boxed in coffins. Mayors attend funerals for PR purposes. Where's the police escort? He replied with nervousness. He said, yet. I don't have those numbers or connections to have Metro Police lead your friend's funeral procession. That's coming from Mr. Mayor, black community player, no question in the hoods dropping out boxes of weapons. Then blame black on black crime or natural causes. Plus those doctors aren't on point but off a bit. Natural mystics prove they're not holistic. Hypocrite oaths make your children autistic.
I'm at the point now where I'm saying I'm tired of mixing the medicine with the food. I'm tired of playing that game. Now I'm shoving straight medicine down your fucking throat, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Straight doses of medicine and then shove down your throat. I don't give a fuck if you turn you off or not. Because if you do turn you off, then you're stupid, ignorant motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying?
Don't judge like a cover of your favorite book. Visit you in your dreams hand with the hook. Paralysis overtook. So shook, stop, look, listen with precision. MC on a mission, vision. Past senses and endless. Cipher with active Moors, beat you with facts senseless. Have your mind defenseless when the truth enters. I blow. Reminds me of Omar Bay, Algonquin embers. Tap your pioneer out what some man remembers. All the lies told to your mind dismembered. Circle broken into quadrants, either seven in the center. Compass G between the square. Baphomet of Templars. Warlock, call on my witch mothers to maim them. The same wise spirits burned at stakes in Salem. Torture with vagina pair, survive, bobbing for apples. Contort thumb slide, wrist out, tight shackles.
I always got something deep to say. Every time around. I always got something deep to say. Every time around. I always got something deep to say. Every time around. I always got something deep to say. Every time around.
Islam Moors, peace and love. Once again, Canaanland Moors, Tuesday class meeting. You know, you call it whatever nowadays because everybody's somewhere else. You know what I mean? So wherever you are, Islam to you. Peace and love to all Moors worldwide that know that they're Moors. Islam to all. The Negro and the Constitution. The Negro and the Constitution. Author, Martin Luther King Jr. Oh, all right. All right. King's oration was published May 1944 at the end of his junior and final year at Washington High School annual, the Cornellian. More polished than other pieces that King wrote as a teenager. The essay probably benefited from adult editing and from King's awareness of similar orations. Citing the experiences of the Black opera singer Marian Anderson as an example, the oration outlines the contradictions between the nation's biblical faith and constitutional values, and the continuing problem of racial discrimination. But the conclusion is marked by a hopeful, rhetorical flourish. My heart throbs anew in the hope that, inspired by the example of Lincoln, imbued with the spirit of Christ, America will cast down the last barrier to perfect freedom, said the young king. And I, with my brother of the blackest hue, possessing at last my right heritage and holding my head erect, may stand beside the Saxon, a Negro, yet a man. This is King, who died grabbing the banister, waiting for the bullet, while everybody around him is laughing. And you don't think that everybody sold you out, even your own? Because I'm not of this thing about Oh, well, dirty Moors are negative, so you don't talk about them, then they don't exist because of the laws of the universe. I don't know that BS. None of that. That's the problem. The guys who are around him laughing while he's gripping the banister, waiting for the bullet. The Negro and the Constitution. And they honor him, build big statues of him or whatever like that. He's talking Constitution. Same thing Noble Drew Ali was talking about. But nah, you don't hear what Noble Drew Ali is saying. We're going to say some fake love or whatever for a king. Because, on February, the third day, that's the day that we honor Dr. King, because he's our black guy that came to, if he's Negro, yet a man, then that means he's a man. He's not Negro. If he's saying, and with I, my brother of the blackest hue. So he's not talking about identity when he says he's black. He didn't say because I'm black. He said because being of the blackest hue. Then we already know, if we're going to metaphysics, because we already know that he was in the lodge and stuff like that, that he knows that there's more going on than what these Negroes know. That's why I always got to put Negro in there to reel them in, so they might listen. And they don't hear anything. Because if they're not about nationality and birthrights, they're a Judas. If they're not about nationality and birthrights, they're your enemy. You worried about Moors? You worried about dirty Moors and fezzes? Doing whatever? You gotta watch these Moors who never had a fez and then came in to get a fez. You think the black guys don't know? We already told you about certain people right now in court. They're going as Moors in court. They're not playing black stuff. They're just telling you that. They're just telling you that. And since the 90s, people had nationality card in their pocket. What? Yeah. Since the 90s, people had nationality card in their pocket. Nobody talked about it. Everybody pretended like, nah, we're not going to talk about that. There's people right now in court against U.S. Corporation for whatever it is, that on YouTube and in the lecture at the podium, they're a black guy. But when they go to court, they are Ellen Bay. So I don't know what you people are on, but you better get on some nationality and birthrights. Because only you are going to save yourself. Nobody's on the way. The cavalry is not coming riding on the horses with the lances and stuff like that to save you. That's not what's going on. You better know about your nationality and your birthrights if you know what's good for you. And it's not a threat, it's a promise. Because these people have they made their moves on the board when you never moved. Now, game is void because, you never moved. But if you don't make that argument, messed up game continues, which is why messed up game keeps continuing. Because everybody's playing the game like they don't know. I tell you, and it was Brother Settenra who did, I think it was one of these too, one of these Moorish History Month classes that we do. But anyways, he was talking about, why is Martin Luther King gripping the banister of the balcony. Why is he gripping the banister of the balcony and everybody's around him laughing? Like that moment that the photographer said, click. Like that moment right there. That had to be divine intervention. To catch him gripping the thing right before the bullet. So he's either looking at the bullet or he's looking at the shooter or he saw the little reflection of something happened to make him grip the banister while all the sellouts around him are laughing. How he know what's to come? What did he see right before that moment? How come photographer guy wasn't, 2 seconds earlier or 2 seconds later? But that specific moment captured. And everybody's seen it, nobody said anything. Except a Moor. Hold on a second. Why the hell is he dead, but everybody around him is laughing? Then he dies and people are going to take his blood, rub it on themselves and go do interviews on TV and stuff like that, talking about the Dr. King and all this. Continue the fight for the whatever. They didn't continue to fight. They sold you out to democracy. Because none of you Negroes talk Constitution. None of you black guys talk Constitution. None of you Egyptologists talk Constitution. Sometimes some of you Hebrews talk Constitution. But we're not even going with that because you're going to go back to your scripture or whatever. None of the indigenous people talk Constitution. They're talking tribes and they're talking treaties with the European. But they're not talking Constitution that keeps this European at bay from being able to even come in your jurisdiction. But no, everybody wants to play like they don't know what they're doing. You want to play like you don't know what you're doing? And we know exactly what you're doing. That's why, don't forget, this is not Cujo, huh? This is Dr. Martin Luther King talking right now. This is his buried stuff that these people don't want to read. I'm talking about they honor him. He was a constitutionalist, on top of pastor and all that BS. But he was a constitutionalist though. How come you're not? You honor him and you're not enforcing the Constitution. You're playing statute and ordinance games. And then you have dirty Moors riding with that as if that's some type of law or something. Acts and all that stuff and say that that's law. Everybody knows that's not law. You just look it up in the dictionary. Dictionary tells you. Don't say the Moors said that they're anti-government because they said the law and no. The dictionary told me. Look up quasi because went to court. They said they're quasi court. What do you mean you're a quasi court? We're a quasi court, and we just have jurisdiction. Oh, all right. Interesting word that you used there. Why would you use the word quasi? Oh, we gotta take recess and all that type of stuff. How come you got recess? Now you don't want to talk about anything? Because it's not opinion. Law dictionary that all these people have told me what quasi court is. So anytime they say that, I already know they're playing their game. And they know that I know that they know that I know. They're playing a game. That's why they'll save the Moors till last in court or whatever like that, because they don't want anybody else to see the case get dismissed, because then that sets precedent and then everybody's going to say that they're Moors. Because, oh wow, he went to court and then he told them something and then they threw out all the charges. Okay, I want to be a Moor. No, sorry, can't be a Moor. Too late now. You lost your chance. Lost your chance. Islam, Moor, you have anything to insert before we go on with Dr. King's speech here?
No, I yield the floor right now. You keep going in on Dr. King and what he was bringing right now.
Negroes were first brought to America in 1620, when England legalized slavery both in England and the colonies and America. Hold on a second. Negroes were first brought to America in 1620, when England legalized slavery both in England and the colonies and America. Now, how come he's making a distinction between England, colonies, and America? But there's people who claim that they're your leader and they're your whoever. They're going to tell you about colonies are part of America. And they're going to tell you that America and American is the West, and that's evil Europeans who have a secret world order of the Illuminati, and they got the underground bunkers and the coffins and all that. What are you talking about? How you get that far into subject matter when he's telling you what the jurisdictions are right there? England, the colonies, and America. Why would he say and America? Why wouldn't he say and United States? Why wouldn't he say certain things? Because he already had certain knowledge. And again, these people are talking to Negroes who don't want to learn. They don't want to study. They don't want to know themselves. They want to swipe know themselves. They don't want to be. Clearly making a distinction. Now, we already know that England is not America, so they don't have jurisdiction here. Which is why he could say England and the colonies, because he's relating the colonies to England because that's only their jurisdiction. And America is a whole total different jurisdiction. This is what Martin Luther King's telling you, first line. Now, again, why is he telling you this stuff? Because people like to play like Moors never told them. Been telling you people. Been. Preliminary memo, Department of Defense, King Alfred Plan. This memo is being submitted in lieu of a full report from the Joint Chiefs of Staff. That report is now in preparation. There will be many cities where the minority will be able to put into the street a superior number of people with a desperate and dangerous will. He will be a formidable enemy, for he is bound to the continent by heritage. He talking about the minority. And knows that political asylum will not be available to him in other countries. The greatest concentration of the minority is in the Deep South, the Eastern Seaboard, the Great Lakes region, and the West Coast. The greatest concentration of the minority is the Deep South, the Eastern Seaboard, the Great Lakes region, and the West Coast. That's pretty much everywhere. He will be a formidable enemy, for he is bound to the continent by heritage. Bound to the continent by heritage. The institution grew and thrived for about 150 years upon the backs of these black men. And again, they're men. They're not black. If he was talking today, he would have said, the blacks, these blacks. 150 years upon the backs of these blacks, and leave men off. He specifically put men there because they're men, not blacks or black people. Black is just a descriptive term for these men. They look black, like. The empire of King Cotton was built, and the Southland maintained a status of life and hospitality distinctly its own and not anywhere else. On January 1st, 1863, the proclamation emancipating the slaves, which had been decreed by President Lincoln in September, took effect. Millions of Negroes faced the rising sun of a new day begun. Did they have habits of thrift or principles of honesty and integrity? Only a few, for their teachings and duties had been but two activities: love of master, right or wrong, good or bad, and loyalty to work. What was to be the place of such men in the reconstruction of the South? He's laying it all down. Right? Did they have habits of thrift or principles of honesty and integrity? They don't. That's why somebody's going to go out there and they're going to buy a package from a Moor for $5,000. Because these people don't have any honesty and integrity. They're going to take your kitchen sink for some papers. And you're going to give it to them. Then complain about the Moor did something when no, that's a robber. It's not a Moor. No, Joel, he said that those aren't Moors. Moors who do that, they're robbers. And if you can't flee, drop the world on them. Even one of the mothers sent me this is how far they're going with it. Right? This is how far they're going with it. He's telling me about Americas. He's telling me about Negroes here. He's not talking about some Africa or whatever. He's talking about right here. Them getting freed here. Okay, well, hold on a second. If these people only know love of master and loyalty to work, how are they going to survive out here? Ain't no different than the dude who been in prison for 30, 40 years. Then he just back out here right now in 2020. Did 30, came home, and this is a whole different world. They're talking about young Black Americans who want to explore their roots can take a free birthright trip to Africa. Young Black Americans. Like, this is how they pull you into jurisdiction with carrots. They're not going to send you to Mexico and those places there. They're not going to send you to Grand Canyon to go see Egyptian stuff over there. That's barred up that you can't even go see stuff. They're going to give people free trip. Of course, Birthright Africa. Birthright Africa. Right? Even your own stealing your birthright, selling it back to you. Now, yeah, we know Moors are from everywhere. So, yeah, you might go home. We're from everywhere. You just might go home. But you have certain obligations because they've always called you Negro, and Negro isn't from over there. Negro is not a term from over across the Atlantic Ocean. That's over here. So the Negro and the Constitution is not that he's calling people Negro, but that's being used to reel them in so they can read, because that's all they know. All they know is love of master and loyalty to work. That's it. They don't know anything else. Think about this thing today, right? Us having the principles and the honesty and the integrity. Again, Noble Ali telling the Moors are on the high road because you were given certain things. And the things that you were given by Noble Ali actually corrected your status to high road, off of the low road. And him, because he's the only one that came and told you nationality is the order of the day, birthrights, you know, you're a Moor. Right? Nobody was talking like that. Everybody was playing games with you. Still today playing games with you. That they're just gonna come out and say, oh yeah, some guy's a scammer, so I'm gonna sue him. I just sued him for $5 million, so, and then that has 8,000 million views. And nobody asked to see the paperwork. If you sued somebody, you got a stamp or whatever that you should be showing that around. Not just talking in front of, you're just talking in front of your little logo or whatever, but you're not showing anything. But you sued somebody, which means there's evidence of something filed at a building registry that you're gonna get your copy, and then you should be showing your copy to show that you did it. No different than people say, oh yeah, you know what I mean? Oh yeah, you want to be a Moor? Oh yeah, you got to file UCC and all that stuff, you know what I mean? And, you know, nothing to do with birthrights, nothing to do with nationality, just, oh yeah, here's this package, you know what I mean? Just do this package and file this, and then that's it, you're a Moor. Playing with people. Right? Willingly playing with them, because they know that these people only know love of master and loyalty to work. So they're easy to play. They don't study. They want to know themselves. America gave its full pledge of freedom 75 years ago. Slavery has been a strange paradox in a nation founded on the principles that all men are created free and equal. Finally, after tumult and war, the nation in 1865 took a new stand: freedom for all people. The new order was backed by amendments to the national constitution, making it the fundamental law that thenceforth there should be no discrimination anywhere in the land of the free on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. Now, he told you that he saw the promised land and all that.
Yeah, he did.
You think he's talking about some heaven or some BS? No, he's talking about right here, right now. Heaven on earth. Why? Because you start incorporating national principles into your existence in order to change the frequency of the energies that are around you. So either you can be in a good space, or you have turmoil. Because this is a science. Let me tell you something. Only because of Taurus throat chakra, you just get classes like this. Because it's part of the being. I mean, that's just how it is in the stars. Because there's so much to put out there. Why not put out anything? Now, this is not some went in the vault and whatever like that. This is just research in the Constitution. This came up. The hell's this? And he's talking like this. And then our people are trying to play like they don't know, but they love him. They don't know, but they love him though. Black America still wears chains. The finest Negro is at the mercy of the meanest white man. Even winners of our highest honors face the class color bar. Look at a few of the paradoxes that mark daily life in America. Marian Anderson was barred from singing in the Constitutional Hall, ironically enough, by the professional daughters of the very men who founded this nation for liberty and equality. But this tale had a different ending. The nation rose in protest and gave a stunning rebuke to the daughters of the American Revolution, and a tremendous ovation to the artist, Marian Anderson, who sang in Washington on Easter Sunday and fittingly before the Lincoln Memorial. Ranking cabinet members and a justice of the Supreme Court were seated about her. 75,000 people stood patiently for hours to hear a great artist at a historic moment. She sang as never before, with tears in her eyes. When the words of America and nobody knows the trouble I seen rang out over the great gathering, there was a hush on the sea of uplifted faces, black and white, and a new baptism of liberty, equality, and fraternity. That was a touching tribute, but Miss Anderson may not as yet spent the night in a good hotel in America. Recently, she was again signaling honored by being given the Bach Reward as the most distinguished resident of Philadelphia. Yet she cannot be served in many of the public restaurants in her home city, even after it has been declared her to be its best citizen. So with their right hand, they raise the high places, the great who have dark skins, and with their left, they slap us down to keep us in our places. Yet America, You have stripped me of my garments. You have robbed me of my precious endowment. We cannot have an enlightening democracy with one great group living in ignorance. We cannot have a healthy nation with 1/10 of the people ill-nourished, sick, harboring germs of disease, with which recognize no color lines, obey no Jim Crow laws. We cannot have a nation orderly and sound with one group, so ground down and thwarted that it is almost forced into social attitudes and crime. We cannot be truly Christian people so long as we flaunt the central teachings of Jesus, brotherly love, and the golden rule. We cannot come to full prosperity with one great group so ill-delayed that it cannot buy goods. So as we grit ourselves to defend democracy from foreign attack, let us see to it that increasingly at home we give fair play and free opportunity for all people. Now again, eat the flesh. You can get rid of the skin. You can put it in the compost. You can keep the seeds or whatever. But realize the point. Same thing that Noble Drew Ali said when he went to the South. It's our people practicing the BS is why there's BS. There's no other reason. It's our people living not on principles is why whatever's going down, that's going down. Right? His whole concept of the nonviolence and all that stuff wasn't from some nonviolent like that position. Because enforced constitution, that's first step, especially if you're dealing with a foreigner. You're not going to go to a fiction. If you're dealing with a foreigner, why would you use a fiction? Which is why, again, we always say when you're getting into this information, make it a ritual that before you go anywhere else looking for anything Moorish, anything, you go to rvbaypublications.com and stay there for a little while. You don't worry about all the stuff going on, Moorish and all that stuff. You heard something and somebody sent you a video and all that stuff. Forget all that. Go to rvbaypublications.com and stay there. Because what's going on? Like we're telling you, there's people spending $5 grand for packages right now. There's people who said they're the Moorish whatever, and telling people naturalize in order to be a Moor. There's people tell you you're not a Moor unless you're a member of the Moorish Science Temple. There's people telling Moors with a flag with a green 5-point star that, oh, well, because the star is whatever, interlocking and all this stuff like that, it's not the Moors flag. What do you mean? Noble Drew Ali said what? Red flag, green 5-point star. I hear anything about interlocking stuff or not interlocking or bold or outlined in orange or what. I didn't hear none of that. Red flag, green 5-point star? Yeah. You got one over there? Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a lot more. You know, different kind of Moors and all this stuff. Moors recognize Moors. Just like real recognize real, Moors recognize Moors.
Just like Brother Sheldon said, how old is our flag?
Right.
10,000 years, some say 50,000 years. That just shuts everything down what you were saying. But they say, and this is what the prophet's saying. The prophet said, our flag is 10,000 years old. But they're telling you, you can't be a Moor unless you join the temple. But again, the flag is over 10,000 years old.
And Noble Drew Ali wasn't waving a Moorish Science Temple flag, or a Moorish Divine National Movement flag, or a Moorish whatever people playing around flag. Right? Brought us back to our nationality and our birthrights. But no, right? You're playing like Moors are we're jokers, and you could, you know, make jokes on Noble Drew Ali and stuff like that. And this stuff is serious right now that's going on. And we've been telling you, and it's only getting more serious. And it's only getting more serious for those who don't know themselves. Everybody else is good. You got no issues. Only people who don't know themselves, playing around like they know themselves. Right? King Alfred plan. It is necessary to use the minority leaders designated by the president in much the same manner in which we use minority members who are agents with central and federal. And we cannot, until there is no alternative, reveal King Alfred in all its aspects. Minority members of Congress will be unseated at once. This move is not without precedent in American history. Agents with central and federal. Agents with central and federal. Minority members will be unseated at once. All your people you've been pushing up, you thought that they were somebody, all those people are going to lose their seat. And they're going to be just on the same level as you. Because the game is only being played on our people, right? So they're going out there. They're going out there and they have Memorandum 46. They have Memorandum 46. And the black guys, you know, they're using Amos Wilson's speeches and stuff like that and trying to put this idea out there like some people are against something black movement and American black movement and, you know, US black movement, and but they're talking about the same thing, black Africa and black America and all this. There's definitely a campaign against our people, but it must be completely understood that the only reason the campaign seems like it's only against our people is because they're stateless and they don't have any national, spiritual, whatever protection. They're done for. There was many ways that they could have got this by now. And again, you know, they pump their campaign up because it's the month right now. I mean, you know, it's that time. And because it's that time, they're going to go for theirs. They're going to definitely go for theirs. Right. U.S. interests in Black Africa. A multiplicity of interests influences the U.S. attitude toward Black Africa. The most important of these interests can be summarized as follows. Political. If Black African states assume attitudes hostile to the U.S. national interests, our policy toward the white regimes, which is a key element in our relations with the Black states, may be subjected by the latter to great pressure for fundamental change. Thus, the West may face a real danger of being deprived of access to the enormous raw materials, resources of Southern Africa, which are vital to our defense needs, as well as losing control over Cape Sea routes, which approximately 65% of Middle Eastern oil is supplied to Western Europe. Now remember, the only reason that these people could have that jurisdiction is because they're playing Africa. They know over there is a Maxim. They know over there is a Maxim. They know over there is South Asia. Africa's a con. This is where how Europe underdeveloped Africa. Walter Rodney. Telling you. All that stuff they're playing games with today that you think is a continent of your ancestors or whatever, all those things are corpses. Like again, look at what's going on. Look at what's going on. People have taken their national pride and marketed it. Like certain people took technology, certain people took food, certain people took health, certain people, based on their national origin, our people seem to have no reference points because national origin. But at the same time, don't forget King Alfred plan that these people are minority. So anyone and everybody has jurisdiction over them while they have none. Because their status is dead and they're not resonating with where the Moors are at, which is where it's supposed to be at. Now you can't tell me that you're taking some Memorandum 46 serious when all they're talking about in here is U.S and black whatever. Like this whole thing is based on U.S and black. And these people, again, Juali already presented everything for us to not get caught up. Still caught up? It's not possible. It's definitely not. It's definitely not. Once. Islam more.
If I can just add on to
go ahead.
Going back, the whole going back to Africa thing that they're publicizing, that you was about to go in with the Memorandum 46. I just want to read something real quick. This is coming out of the book Global Media Giant by Benjamin Berkingbein and Rodrigo Gomez and Janet Wasco. It's called Global Media Giants, right? And in a chapter called Ownership, right? It goes right in. The guy's name is Vincent Bolloré. Well, if I'm saying that right, it's a French name. Vincent Bolloré. It says Vincent Bollé's career has taken him to a national and even in some ways, international position. He managed several corporate buyouts that have ensured the success of the group Bolloré, which has a particularly strong presence in the Francophone Africa. That means like French-speaking Africa. So it's letting you know right now the ownership of the of Africa. In addition to rubber plantations, Group Bolloré is the leader in logistics in Francophone Africa and controls the ports such as Abidjan, Abidjan, Ghana, and Libya. So when they say that they're going back to Ghana or back to, because that's where a lot of them is going back to, Ghana. But this is owned by the French. The guy's name is Vincent Bolloré. He's controlling all of those ports or borders. He's controlling Ghana, Libya, and Abidjan, wherever that's at. And it says many of his activities are related to the political sphere, especially through public procurement, right? And then I looked up procurement, and the word procure means to pimp, literally. That's what it said. It said to pimp. Procure means to pimp. So it says to the political sphere, especially through public pimping. Like he owns that whole thing. They telling you right here. Vincent Bolloré is also a friend of the former French president Nicolas Sarkozy. Since the early 2000s, Group Bolloré has sought out to invest in the media sector. So now they're going to go to TVs, in the news. So when they going back to, it's the same thing. What changed? Mm-hmm. They're going to go back over there, and they're back to being slaves again over there, thinking whatever the media, it's the same thing. The French controlling the media over there, all of that. They keep thinking they're going back to them owning something. They're not going back to them owning nothing. None of that. None of that is going on over there. It just what also makes me go crazy. I'm like, okay, why are y'all all going over there but all of them keep coming over here.
Right. I don't get it.
And Ben always coming over here. Ben always coming over here.
Yeah, we just started going over there like that. We just started going over there. They've been coming over here and then go back over there. You know, yeah, straight trading places. In elaborating U.S. policy toward Black Africa, due weight must be given to the fact that there are 25 million American Blacks whose roots are African and who consciously or subconsciously sympathize with the African nationalism. The living conditions of the Black population should also be taken into account. Immense advances in the field are accompanied by a long-lasting high rate of employment, especially among the youth, and by poverty and dissatisfaction with government social welfare standards. These factors, taken together, may provide a basis for joint actions of a concrete nature by the African nationalist movement and the U.S. Black community. Basically, actions would take the form of demonstrations in public protests, but the likelihood of violence cannot be excluded. There would also be attempts to coordinate their political activity, both locally and international organizations. Inside the United States, these actions could include protest demonstrations against our policy toward South Africa, accompanied by demand for boycotting corporations and banks which maintain links with that country. Now, this is them talking. What do they mean inside the United States? Remember, this is a presidential document. Forget that it's talking about Black stuff. They made reference to US, get you used to it. And then all of a sudden, they're talking about inside the United States. And you didn't stop and tell them, hold on a second, what do you mean inside? What do you mean by inside the United States? Because inside the United States means that you're not talking about inside America. You're not talking about inside the world. You're not talking about inside anything outside of the United States. And then that has to bring up the question of what the hell is the United States then? If they're talking about Black people are inside that. The US Black community and the African nationalist movement in America are inside the United States. Do you think all these people aren't playing the game with you then? Everybody's in on the game on you. You think these Black leaders don't know? Why do you think they all got nationality cards? Because they're not trying to be inside the jurisdiction. They're not trying to be inside the United States. This is what they're arguing right now in court. But they're going to come out here and make some reference to Memorandum 46 to say, oh yeah, they're going against the Black guys and all this type of stuff. What do you mean they're going against the Black guys? You're a Moor. What are you talking about? Like, how come you're not talking that, oh yeah, I'm a Moor, that's how you get out of not getting the Black guy or whatever. Attempts to establish a permanent Black lobby in Congress, including activists, leftist, radical groups, and Black legislatures. Don't forget, King Alfred plan. minority members of Congress will be unseated at once. So all that black lobby in Congress and some black legislature, whatever, BS. Because all those people are going to be unseated at once. And they know this. But they don't have any principles and integrity. That's why they sell you out easy. That's why they'll just walk up to the thing and then murder Malcolm. They just walk up on him. Security just happened to be on their break and all this type of stuff. What are you talking about? And remember, all of these leaders were moving out of the civil rights, whatever, and they were moving into constitutional, they were moving into international law. They were, all of them. Anybody that means anybody to you. Amos Wilson in Blueprint for Black Power, all he's talking about is national or whatever. How the blacks could get out of the whatever and they're national. Same thing they're talking about here. Renewal of the extremist idea, national idea of establishing an African republic on American soil. Establishing an African republic on American soil. Now, if they did do that, let's say they did do that, right? The black guys came together and they say, we want to, and then they established an African republic on American soil. That would mean that over here is America and Africa. Because you can't establish something where it wasn't that before. You can't go to somewhere and say you're going to establish there unless there's joinder between you and there as the establisher. So they're just like the Olmecs were Malian, but they had jurisdiction here because they know that their ancestors were going back and forth here before there was ocean. Before we had to go in boats and get over there, we should just walk over there. Why is it hard to grasp? You know, that's why they tell the people African American. Because both of those are here. You think this guy didn't know? He was into freaking stuff. What do you mean? He got fez on with the Ankh and stuff like that. The Messy Jesse was Nuapian. You know, Messy Jesse was Nuapian. But he's coming out here telling people African American? Then he's Nuapian. If he's Nuapian, that means he's a Moor. And he knows about his nationality and birthrights. Or you're an African in America, so that's why we say African American. No, Africa and America are here. That's why he's telling the African American. He wasn't getting the lessons. It's still a fiction. No legitimacy in saying you're African American. We're saying it's Moorish History Month. We're looking deeper at what people are saying stuff and letting you know they've been telling me. Now you tell you, Allah set it up perfectly. That dude pushed the thing right when he gripped the banister before he got shot in the face. Like the bullet might have been at it, like right there. The whole stuff sold you out. In the above context, we must envisage the possibility, however remote, that Black Americans interested in African affairs may refocus their attention on the Arab-Israeli conflict. Taking into account the African descendants of American Blacks, it is reasonable to anticipate that their sympathies will lie with the Arabs, who are closer to them in spirit, and in some case related to them by blood. But they're not going to hear all that. They're going to hear all this black BS. And they're trying to stop the blacks from having their Black Africa and all that stuff when they just told you right there that you're Arab. If you're Arab, that means you're a Moor. Why are you playing around with black stuff? When these people are telling you, oh yeah, the black guys in America, they are friends with the Arab, but they might be their blood too. They'll go with the Arab side, not the Israeli side. Well, what? Why would they do that? Because Arabs are dark-skinned people too, just like the Black Americans who don't want to know themselves. But we're gonna take a pause for the cause because we have a call to make right now. Let me hold on more.
Yeah.
We have something to do. Islam, Moor.
How are you?
Everything's peaceful. Hold on, let me just merge Brother Yusuf in. Islam, brother. Yeah, peace, yo. Yeah, I just merged Brother Yusuf on the call.
Okay.
Yeah.
Islam, Moor.
So we're just gonna play something and then we'll go in after that. We're just gonna play something. It's not long. 25 seconds.
Good. Tell my brothers, America, Morocco.
Oh yeah, Morocco. America is Morocco.
Yes.
Your brother from Morocco.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You see, let the people know, the kingdom know, we're the empire.
It's America, Morocco.
Yeah, Maghrib.
America, Morocco.
Maghrib.
Yes.
Maghrib, Alexa.
Maghrib.
Allahu Akbar.
Maghrib. Good.
Islam, Moor. Just put your appellation on the record and let us know what went down. How did that manifest right there?
Okay, well, Islam, I'm Noble James, Israel Nathan L. Basically, I came out to visit the kingdom. I
came from Spain, so I was in Andalusia, and I was out there for basketball. So once I was done for 3 months out there, I said, shit, since I'm out here, I might as well go take a trip across the water to the kingdom. So I got to the kingdom, and I made sure that I stayed to myself, but I wanted to still embrace the cultures. So I went to the marketplace, and I was introduced to Brother Abdul, the one that was on the left, who said, your brother from Morocco. I was introduced to him the second day I was there, and he was taking me places, making sure that they weren't scamming me with the prices and all that for, products and stuff like that. And he took me to the other brother for a leather bag, and so Brother Ahmed, he sat me down, gave me some tea, and he was just explaining. Brother Abdul was explaining to him how I was Moorish American, and that I was of the Caribbeans, like Muhammad Ali and Malcolm X,
right,
others that came to visit.
Right.
And so I took that as a good opportunity to record it, because they were telling me everything that I was thinking out, or everything that I envisioned us learning and making, confirming from our people coming from America originally. And so, he basically read my mind and manifested it before me, and I just, capitalized on it and decided to pull my phone out and confirm what he had just said to me.
Islam. Now, what is with the whole idea of you being there and them verifying? Like, what did that do for you with regard to you being a Moor and your and you knowing that this is your birthright, and they're verifying? And what should people who aren't on this information take away from something like that was said?
Well, personally, what it does for me, it shuts up a lot of the critics from the colonizers here in America that say, "Oh, I don't know why you think America is Morocco. Morocco's over in North Africa." You ask a North African, they're going to tell you, that Morocco is America. So that was the dopest part for me.
Yeah.
Being able to, talk to people and then treating me like a human being and don't see any type of color or any artificial creation from man.
Now, is that thing? Sorry to interject. Is that different? Then, 'cause I never been over there before, but that whole thing of because we know that we're Moors, they don't deal with us like black guys or niggers or conversation goes different. Is it different than that over here? Like, is the hospitality a different?
They don't even know what. Like, it's so much different. There's so much love over there. They don't even know what the word nigger means.
Yeah.
It's like they see nothing. They don't see a color. They just see a human being, because all they know is Allah. So you to love them Allah, and they embrace you. You tell them you're Moorish American, they say because it's like it's not a big deal to them, because it's normal. It's who we are.
Right.
And they know that.
They know
the majority of them know that.
Right.
But everybody knows but us. So going over there to I kind of had a brief feeling of like what Taj explained about Malcolm X, like when he went over there and they're like, "Why are you going over here to come home? You're already home."
Yeah.
Like,
right.
It was kind of like a confirmation of that.
Wow.
And another thing it does is it motivates me to do more here in America. And I feel my mission personally, because I'm going over there to Casablanca to play basketball. I personally feel like it's my mission to unite the kingdom with our empire, and bringing in that tie, because it'll help. It'll like bringing Moors from America to Morocco.
Right. Will
help benefit us commercially, because they need it bad, and it'll help us as well. And along with that, they have a lot of the old information and the stuff that can tie us back to the land of Morocco.
Mm.
And so, but it's like vice versa. You know, we can come together and make this build. So, I feel like I'm supposed to be like a direct connection to the kingdom for the empire.
Right. Now, how do you even get into being a Moor? Because the majority of us, you already know, we come from that Negro stuff. And
say it again.
When did you come into the info of being a Moor?
Honestly, let's see. It's 2020 now. It was the end of. Yeah, it was like the end of 2018. I kind of started to gain knowledge of the Moors and all that, but then it wasn't until maybe halfway through January when I really put it all together and saw how important it was to proclaim your nationality and see everything for what it is.
Well,
so that's when I really, 2018. The beginning of 2019 was when I really dove into the fire, I guess you could say.
Right. No. There's also the talk of when, because this is the Correcting Black History Month series that we're doing. So when we look at our presence as Moors and you exercising that over there, people like to say that the Moroccans don't know who the Moors are, and you can't go there and wear your fez, and Moroccans will slap your fez off and all this. What was the interactions like with you and them?
That was, man, anybody who says that is just talking, man. I don't know if it'll be different for some of the more sporty skinned Moors, but me, they all coming up to me speaking Arabic and French, thinking I'm directly from the kingdom. I tell them, nah, I'm America. I'm Caribbean, Moorish America. They're like, oh, you from what? You look like you're from Morocco. You look like you're from your welcome. They give me a hug.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? None of that, man. They won't slap your face off or nothing.
Yeah.
They matter of fact, Brother Abdul was the one that told me. He said, man, listen, I showed him my Moorish American travel document. Shout out Sharif Mohammed Bay.
Mm.
I showed him my travel document because that's what I would use for the people that were confused when I would say Moorish American.
Right.
So they can once they can read that and see that, they understand my Caribbean. Okay.
Mm.
But he told me, if police ever stop you, show them that, they'll leave you alone and respect you.
Over there.
Yup. Over in the kingdom.
Yeah. That's crazy.
And I was actually talking to one of the police, and I told him I was Moorish American, and he called me an American confidel.
American what?
Confidel.
I never heard that one.
He called me a confidel. I'm pretty sure he was referring to the confidential.
Right. Confidel. That's crazy.
Yeah. And then they were telling me I had I was surprised he was actually a lot younger, but you could tell he was a scholar from among the locals. And he was telling me about, the story of the King of Timbuktu and how he ran Al-Andalusia and he brought his troops from Iraq.
Mm.
And they migrated to Spain from Iraq and brought Islam over there. And they were telling the people that they had land all the way towards the sun from Allah. Mm. And the coordinates that he gave the troops, if you plug those coordinates in and match it with today, it translates to Spain to America.
Wow.
And so that's what that. So he gave me that after I had asked him the questions. Well, how do you guys know that America is Morocco? What's the proof that you guys are based on?
Mm.
That's he told me they teach them in school.
Wow. That's taught in school.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's
and there was,
no, go ahead.
No, I was just saying there was so much symbolism out there from the from love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice in Arabic. They had that. I saw some stuff with that. They had pyramids of the flag. They had like Al-Andalusia cafes and stuff like that. And then they had even the square and compass in some of their like businesses. Like I went to this crepe store and they put the square and compass in their emblem. So they got the science.
Yeah. And they actually know on the level that we should be knowing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, will you also look at, because of the I mean, I see it like this too, but what things did you take out with regard to Noble Drew Ali's teachings from the trip? Because I was thinking about the statement that our brothers from the East will save us. You know what I mean? And just the fact that
really
they
hard,
just the fact that they dealt with you on. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying it was hard to take things away from Noble Drew Ali, but I was trying to put those things together because everything that they teach you is kind of, I guess you could say, veiled in Muhammadan Islam.
Right.
But one thing I can say was teaching them. I was teaching them the science of Noble Drew Ali, and some of the stuff that he was leaving as far as nationality goes, because you start mentioning Prophet Noble Drew Ali, they start looking at you like they're ready to kill you. So you gotta make it clear, like he's not a prophet of the scripture. He's of nationality, and he's everything he did is prepared for Allah.
Yeah.
So like once you break it down to them, they got no problem with it. Like they start to understand. Like I gave one of my guys the 5 principles of Islam from C.M. Beck, I Self-Law and Master.
Yeah.
And his mind was blown, but he couldn't deny it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what's up, yo.
So, yeah, this past trip was more of like I guess you could say uniting Moorish science with the kingdom. But when I go back, it's definitely gonna be a whole different experience.
Right.
Once I start looking.
Yeah.
I leave on the 29th.
For real? Okay. So 29th you'll be out there.
Yes, sir.
For real.
And then I'll have a direct plug on Fezes as well.
Right. Yeah. That's what's up.
Yeah, they're like real cheap. Like $20, $25 handmade velvet.
Yeah.
With the air pockets on the top too, and the navel.
Like the handmade. Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah. Brother Yusuf, you had any interjections?
No, I just give thanks for the brothers for that video. So a lot of people, like you said, they can confirm it to a lot of people. Even going out there, for them to say that this is Morocco here, that's big time. That was big time. That was big time. I appreciate that.
Wow. Yes, sir. I definitely look forward to podcasting and kind of getting more interviews with the people out there, kind of like I did for that video.
Right, yeah.
I can get the original information.
Yeah.
So I can get it out to the people.
Yeah, that'll be a good one.
Yeah, I wanted to record the dude who was telling me about the Timbuktu, but it just didn't work out because my phone was dying. But I still got the connection mentioned him through my other friend out there, so
Right.
I'll get that and many more.
Yeah, more. Well, yo, give thanks, fam, for putting in some work for the nation. You know what I mean? In your travels. You know, and
yes, sir.
And it was a real one. You know, a few more as well, because it has about a 900 views right now, but it's a sincere 900. You know what I mean? It's not no trolls in there, like, you know what I mean. So Moore's definitely appreciated that little 25 seconds of same thing, you know, just to verify, validate, you know what I mean? Put another nail in the coffin to prove the point. You know what I mean? Noble Joel is the man. Straight. Yeah, more. But yeah, man, have a good trip, and you know what I mean? Once you touch it on, let me know what's good. And we'll definitely,
sure, I got you.
Yeah, we'll definitely, you know what I mean, keep in touch for sure.
For sure. Keep updating me with everything going on too.
Yeah, for sure, no doubt. But definitely do that. Definitely do that. As soon as I get word or something, I'll be on you.
For sure, man. Yeah, thanks again,
man.
man.
Yeah, peace and love, more.
Peace and love.
Islam.
Wow.
Yeah. So nothing, what else they want? Nothing too crazy. Just more verification of what we've been saying. Nothing, you know, people want to play their black game, but everybody knows that we're Moors. And you know, our people just love the dark or something. I don't know what to call it. But I know that I'm not playing that BS with these people. We're Moors. Don't let anybody steal your birthright. Especially since Juali said if you don't do anything else, declare your nationality, better declare something. See, we're playing games with you. Because they will play games with you. Guaranteed they'll play games with you. Just looking for this. So this is again Moorish. Moorish connection to everything. This one here was pretty crazy. Among frequently used words in English that stem from Arabic, the most popular include all 20 words from this chapter's first question: alcohol, alcove, algebra, apricot, assassin, chess, decipher, elixir, gauze, harem, lemon, lute, magazine, mummy, orange, saffron, Sahara, syrup, talisman, and zenith. Words from each of the three sentences in the second question: tambourine, nabob, and candy. And the following words: adobe, alameda, albacore, albatross, alchemy, alfalfa, almanac, amalgam, amber, arabesque, artichoke, average, burial, caliber, camphor, check, chemist, chiffron, coffee, cotton, crimson, cumin, ghoul, hashish, henna, hummus, masquerade, mattress, mecca, mocha, safflower, sesame, sherbet, sherry, soda, sofa, spinach, sugar, tangerine, taro, traffic, and tuba. For many of these words, the crucial connection is Spain, the country where, under the Moors, Arabic was a lingua franca, and where more than 3,000 Arabic words entered the Spanish language, from which they spread into French, Latin, and English. Take the name for the famous prison in San Francisco Bay, Alcatraz. The word stems from the Arabic word al-Gataz, which means the white-tailed sea eagle. According to canons, the Arabic contributions to the English language. From al-Gataz, the Portuguese and the Spanish adopted the word Alcatraz, which they used to describe a range of seabirds, including pelicans. The Spanish and Portuguese would name an island inhabited by pelicans and other birds Isla de Alcatrazes. The word was first used in English according to the Oxford English Dictionary in 1564, when English slave trader Sir Jim Hawkins sailed into Portuguese territory and noted an island that was called Alcatraza, and that seabirds were called alcatraces. In 1775, Spanish explorer Juan Manuel de Ayala gave the San Francisco island the name Isla de la Alcatraces, in English, Alcatraz Island. Islam, Moore, you have any interjection?
Was they referring to the San Francisco over here?
Yeah.
Because it was, I was thinking about the Alamos that are in San Francisco, that the Moors built. As soon as they talked about that, and you can see the Moorish presence with the castles that's still there right now, that we did the interview with the guy who got the minarets and domes, that book.
Yep, Philip Pasquini. Yeah.
He goes in on that, and it literally says it's Moorish architecture, like Moors built it.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Moors built that.
Moors built that.
I just want to read this quick little line real quick.
Yeah, Moore.
From one of my favorite authors. Coming out of the book, The United States and Morocco, 1776 to 1956, from Llewellyn J. Hall. This is in the preface. It says, it is surprising that the part played by the United States in Morocco since 1776 has been almost entirely neglected in both American history and in the innumerable volumes written by English, German, French, Spanish, and other European historians. No study has hitherto been made of American-Moroccan relations as a whole. Although some episodes have been publicized as a domestic problem, the unpublished consular dispatches in the National Archives reveal a sordid story of the inefficiency, ignorance, corruption, and immoral conduct of many of the American consuls serving before and during the 20th century. This record is not redeemed by that of the State Department, whose actions during that time may be characterized as inefficient, negligent, and frequently promiscuous. It says, it was in relation to Morocco that Theodore Roosevelt first declared and implemented his second corollary to the Monroe Doctrine. Franklin Roosevelt used Morocco as his local for the defeat of the Nazi patent stronghold on France. In Morocco, the United States fought unceasingly for the open door from her first treaty in 1787 until she gave up that treaty in 1956 to aid the newly independent country. And that's the Morocco over there. In 1956. Llewellyn J. Hall, because again, another reason why we don't know about what the Moors brung and stuff like that, because they don't talk about it. You gotta go research and dig too. She told you that too. Like, it's even in the State Department level. Like, it's insufficient and not de jure in there what they putting out with the relationship with the Morocco and United States. Like, even their own scholars telling you, like, yeah, somebody needs to put this thing together differently because the records they have in there are insufficient. Because Llewellyn J. Hall in this book telling you all that was here. All of that. Tunis is here. All that Louisiana Purchase stuff with Napoleon, King, all that. Moors. It was all Moors. All Moors. All Moors. That's Tunisburg is really over there. And that's Tunis, Algiers, all of that is right there. All that's right here. All of this was going on right here. And when you see the canal, you can see how the ships was coming in, bringing in European slaves. You can see it.
That's crazy. Llewellyn J. Hall going in.
Yeah, she goes in hard. We know she got the records of the notes they spent to put not notes, the money, the real gold that they use to be able to prepare and get together the first navy that the United States ever had. Was because of the Moors. They had to make a choice. They said, yo, we either gonna pay this ransom and keep paying it forever, or we gotta build us a navy. We gotta fight.
Here's this one again. Actually, there's two parts here. Most of the American towns with Arabic names are small and off the beaten path. Arabia, Nebraska is in the far upper reaches of the state. An auditor for a Nebraska railroad picked the name because he thought the soil. A Nebraska railroad auditor picked the name because he thought the soil in the area was similar to the sandy soil of the Arabian desert. That's how Arabia, Nebraska got its name. The soil, no. Remember, he's a foreigner. So obviously he's been to Arabia to know. Because if he's an auditor, a railroad company, then he was probably in the elite class. He wasn't dumb nigger guy. He wasn't white trash European. Now, why would they be using Arabic? They're European. They know Arab gonna have no auditor of Nebraska Railroad job. Because we already got David Walker's book show you that it ain't going down like that. It's all about keeping them deaf, dumb, and blind. But everything around you is Arabic names. And you don't think that you're Arab and that you're not Moors, and fezzes come from Masons, and losing it. Here's how William H. Perrin, J.H. Battle, and Western Arthur Godspeed described the origins of Medina, Ohio, in their 1881 book, History of Medina County and Ohio. It was originally called Mecca and is so marked on the early maps of the state, from the Arabian city famous in history as the birthplace of Mohammed. Some years later, it was changed to its present name of Medina, being the 7th place on the globe bearing that name. The others include Medina, a town of Arabia deserts celebrated as the birthplace of Mahomet. In 1800s America, Mahomet was the standard name for the Prophet Muhammad. And so it was that the town of Mohammed, Illinois, took its name from the Prophet of Islam. It is the only place in the United States named after Muhammad. To my knowledge, the Illinois town, or village, as it is also considered, was bestowed with the name Muhammad in 1871 after it was first called Middletown. And then remember, Muhammad is where they get Baphomet. And people have been getting played because they don't study to know exactly what it is that's going on. They're playing guessing games. People die for a lack of knowledge, and these people are getting Popeyes. Of course, we're gonna have to go to our Sibyls book, The Sibyls by Mama Zogbe. We have to make sure we put out some info for the mothers. The sacerdotal matriarch of the Sibyls. Just as their divine African mother, Mami Isis, served as the first universal sacerdotal symbol of the divine celestial and terrestrial African ancestress, Her worship as the manifestation of the Logos was continued in Asia Minor and in Minoa and Mycenae. Archaeological pottery shards date the black descendants of the Libyan Garamantes and other African clans who had settled into Babylon and elsewhere before the flood have been arrived in Minoa as early as 4000 BCE. All these historic locations were where the Sibyls maintained major oracular Mami shrines. Important to note is that the ancient depiction of the ochre, colored wives of the pharaoh, was not a radical designation, but an ancient custom still practiced in present-day Togo and Benin. In this practice, the African, who is of another clan, is designated by a different hue or the path of the deity from which they descend, is esoterically denoted by the color characteristic. This ritual was not originally employed to denote race, for example. Ochre, usually symbolizing mother blood, was often employed to designate the lineage from the ancient Canaanite matrilineal Sibyls. Ujwali knew exactly what he was doing. He was not confused. He knew exactly what he was doing. Exactly. Those temple priests of Ammon who revolted against them slaughtered the ancestral python of the Sibyls, a deliberate act of divine warfare that centuries later, Gwegbaja, the first king of Dahomey, is alleged to have committed in his takeover of sacerdotal power against the matriarchal clans in West Africa. After Ammon's priests slaughtered the sacred python, they demanded that separate grand temples be built to Apollo and Zeus atop of them. These priests then proceeded to rearrange the cosmological pantheon, placing themselves at the head. A new patriarchal mythos was invented, and the sacerdotal doves were replaced with the fiery eagles of Horus. Right? Suppress the matriarch. Suppress the matrilineal. Because they know that it's time's up. Time's up. This, as far as the powers that be go, you're gonna have to go along with what the ancestors want. Because everything else you've been doing hasn't really worked too well. Hasn't worked too well. Placed back into African cosmology, the Titans and Titanesses, or divinities and lords, are the ancient African pantheon of the 7 celestial deities from the Pleiades star system who were served by the Sibyls. They were introduced into Babylon and Palestinian astrology by the Afro-Canaanite Phoenician matriarchal clans who settled into ancient Corinth around 2000 BCE. 7 became the mystical number of the ancestral deity Dionysus, and later was applied to the minor fire deity Jehovah. It was also the number by which African solar gods were torn into pieces and resurrected again, Osiris being the first. Plato, Justin, and Aristophanes tells us that the Sibyls were not a few, all of them embracing the same prophetic life. And for some particular reason, they all chose the appellation of Sibyls, a tradition by the inhabitants which came down to them from their African ancestors. They all chose the appellation Sibyls. Deep, 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 deep. It's on to the mothers that study. Islam, or you got anything to add in?
Another one of our favorite authors, and Noor Majid, We Are All Moors. Again, just in the title alone, it's a killer. The book is called We Are All Moors, from Noor Majid. On page 63, quoting the author Ibn Bartel. It says, while blackness and Mohammedanism were stereotyped as evil, Renaissance representations of the Moor were vague, very inconsistent, and contradictory. As critics have established, the term Moor was used interchangeably with such similar ambiguous terms as African, Ethiopian, and Negro, and even Indian, to designate a figure from different parts or the whole of Africa or beyond, who was either black or Muslim, neither or both. That was again from Emily Bartels in the book We Are All Moors, from Noor Majid. Just giving you over and over again the same thing over and over again to prove that we're Moors.
Yeah. Like we always say, we got our birthright. You guys can play around all you want with whether you want it or not or whatever. That's on you. We got our birthright. Now, just for all the title Moors. Gender code words such as man and lord that did not exist until the advent of patriarchy are clearly edited versions of the Sibyls' original prophecies, which always made reference to the Divine Mother. Masculine pronouns were inserted by church officials to render them consistent with their own corrupted church doctrines. And they're playing man titles with you in order to have some jurisdiction and all that stuff. Know that they're practicing patriarchy. Know that they're practicing patriarchy. As soon as they become a title guy and they're starting to tell mother can't do this and all that stuff, you already know what's up. Remember, she's the one that brought us here. So how are we fronting? We're somebody. Down front. And again, that's the Sibyls. Mama Zogbe. Make sure you get your copy. Make sure you get your copy. Especially if you're a mother. Slap you right into shape, quick, fast. Right into shape. How these dudes messed up out here. Don't forget 9:30 p.m. MHHS, eyes wide open. MHHS, eyes wide open. 319-527-6751. 319-527-6751. 425-569-5201. 425-569-5201. Islam to all Moors. Islam. Islam. Islam, Brother Yusuf. They got you mute stuck.
Oh, I was on mute the whole time. The whole time on mute. Islam to the Moors in the chat. Give thanks, Grand Sheik, for your platform in the King of the Moors. Give honors to the mothers. And give honors to the Prophet Noble Ali. Islam.
Islam. Don't forget, Moors. Don't forget.
Good. Tell my brothers, America, Morocco.
Oh yeah, Morocco. America is Morocco.
Yes.
Your brother from Morocco.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You see, let the people know, the kingdom know, we're the empire.
Is America Morocco?
Yeah, my
America Morocco.
My
Yes.